US President Joe Biden is all set to head to Asia this week. This will be his first trip to the region since taking office. With a focus on countering China, Biden will be visiting South Korea and Japan. But apart from this, there is something else that the White House is bracing for: a North Korean missile or nuclear test, which is likely to take place during Biden's trip to Asia. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan claims that North Korea could launch a missile test in the days leading into the president's trip to the region.
With respect to the issue of North Korea, we've said from this podium, we've said at the State Department, and we've indicated in quite clear terms that our intelligence does reflect the genuine possibility that there will be either a further missile test, including long-range missile test, or a nuclear test, or frankly both, in the days leading into, on, or after the president's trip to the region. We are preparing for all contingencies, including the possibility that such a provocation would occur while we are in Korea or in Japan.
The White House has further said that the U.S. president will not be visiting the demilitarized zone that divided North and South Korea during his visit to South Korea. Echoing similar concerns, the South Korean lawmaker has said that North Korea has completed preparations for a nuclear test and is only seeking the best moment to carry it out. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden is scheduled to leave for South Korea today to hold talks with the country's new president, Yoon Suk-yeol, who has vowed a harder line against North Korean provocations. Now, Biden is then expected to travel to Japan on Sunday for a summit of the Quad, which comprises of US, Japan, India, and Australia. The US president's trip is intended in part to signal that the United States of America has not forgotten the country's strategic interest in the Indo-Pacific, despite the focus being on Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Anyway, hello everyone.
Now, for more on this, our correspondent Phoebe Amoroso is joining us live from Tokyo. Hello to you, Phoebe. Now, according to the latest reports from Seoul, North Korea has already completed preparations for its nuclear test and is only looking for the best time to launch it. Does the timing come as a surprise, especially when US President is set to begin his Asia trip and also in the midst of this COVID outbreak in the nation?
The timing doesn't really come as a surprise. If we look to North Korea's activity just this year, it's already conducted 16 missile tests. And with regards to its COVID outbreak, yes, it is spreading explosively. And analysts are still waiting to see exactly what impact that will have. But the message that North Korea is trying to send to the world is that it's going to continue with its plans to shore up its military power. So even with this COVID outbreak, we saw it fire 3 short-range ballistic missiles last month. Now with this visit, last week, now, with this visit by President Biden, it's very common for North Korea to make some action when there is important geopolitical meetings. And for this, it's basically showing that it's not willing to follow the path for denuclearization. And that is the precondition that the United States has said for starting talks. If North Korea says that it will commit to denuclearization, that they can talk further towards that process and also look to ease some of the sanctions against Pyongyang. But Pyongyang is pursuing its own path, and for the foreseeable future, we can expect some more missile tests, and as US officials are warning, potentially a nuclear test as well.
Right, and Phoebe, my second question is, what's on the agenda during Biden's trip to South Korea and Japan?
First of all, security and defense is a huge focus. And this goes beyond the North Korean issue that I was just referring to, but also towards China. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has really caused geopolitical ripples across the world. And there are huge concerns that China will act similarly towards Taiwan. Now, Japan has described Taiwan as integral to its security. And so Japan and South Korea are going to be looking to the US for a reassurance that the United States will step in and continue to protect the region. There's a lot of talk of extended deterrence. That means that both countries fall under the US's nuclear umbrella. What this would mean in terms of strengthening, we don't yet know. This could be including heavy bombers and nuclear-armed submarines deployed towards the region. But these are the kind of reassurances that both countries will be looking for, that they will make a joint or trilateral statement against any unilateral attempts to change the status quo in the Indo-Pacific, and that will be specifically targeted at China. There's also an economic element here, and the United States is expected to launch what it calls the Indo-Pacific Economic Forum, and this will look to strengthen economic cooperation in the region, particularly as regards supply chains, but also for things like artificial intelligence and digital inclusivity. From Japan's perspective, the Foreign Minister Hayashi has expressed that Japan would prefer it, or it'd be more desirable if the US went back to the original Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement that it walked away from a few years back. But they're looking to get at least some kind of economically desirable agreement from these talks. So very much twofold: security, defense, and economy.
Right, Phoebe, thank you very much for bringing us all the latest coming out of Biden's upcoming Asia trip.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.